Well, so the biggest thing that I wanted to be, I always wanted to be the UN Secretary General, right? That was my biggest dream, and that's why my first degree was in political science. Because I mean, until I was 20, I was sure that I was going to go to the UN. So my first, I was at the National War College actually teaching, which most people find hard to believe because. So that was my path. So as a kid, I always wanted to be a writer, a scholar, somebody in that vein. And then after a while, I wanted to be an entrepreneur and start businesses, which I do today. So like and the thing is, I still find time for my writing and things like that. So yeah, so best of both worlds, I would say. Yeah.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
How about you, Faye?
Um, like him, hunger, but not in that state also, because truly, as we grew up, my mom let us know that you can be anybody that you want to be. So I grew up knowing that I can do whatever that I want to do. But the real thing for me is impact. That has always been my thing, to just impact people in my small circle or, where we are right now. So the first thing for me is impact.
Okay. So really, you went to Chocolate City. What happened?
I went to. I didn't go. I started it. I'm the founder. My friend and I, and nothing happened really. So, people. It's a very tough question to answer. Nothing happened, right? We were just at an age where. So, I was born in Jos, and anybody who knows about Jos knows that Jos is probably the most creative place in Africa. I mean, the way we're raised is different. We're special people. So there's a lot of creativity in Jos. I mean, we had music around us every day. Every school that we were in Jos had a music program and all that kind of stuff. So we were already very, very creative. So at an age where we saw, the music industry in Nigeria a certain way, we didn't like it, right? I didn't like it. We thought it wasn't properly done, it wasn't professional, and being a fan of music, because music is one of the most important things in my life, for me, music is really, most of who I am is around music, right? My personality, the way I do things is all, and my wife is here to tell you, everything I do is literally driven by music. Even my emotions, the way I feel, when I'm angry, when I'm in a good place, when I'm, it's all music related. It's very weird, trust me.
Please confirm that for us.
So,
okay.
So,
she says it's true.
So when we started the company, we just wanted to have a small company where we could do things properly. And we never even thought it would be a business. We just started doing it as a thing, as a side thing, which is why I've had so many jobs. But then one day we woke up and it was like, here's a check for $1 million. And we're like, okay, you know what? This is a business, right? So, and I think it's important, that story, because most people, you have to remember that passion is very important, because like our company started not from the need to make money. It wasn't like we started something that we liked doing and that we were good at. So, and then that became a business because we were still sort of, the passion is sort of still there. It's genuine, you know what I mean? It's generic. It's not forced, right? So, yeah, that's for me. That's how we started the company, and thank God today we're doing well. We're doing great. Yeah.
Very impressive. Thank you, sir. So, my next question is to you. So far in the journey of Dang, Dang Lifestyle, was there any specific challenge or setback that you just told yourself that, you know what, whether the devil likes it or yes, I'm going to continue this thing. You're not going to frustrate me out of this business. I'm going to do it, and it's going to be successful.
Yeah, two things, but I need to correct something real quick, that as at now, Diary of a Niger Girl is not a business. So people say that a lot, but it's really not a business. It's just a life that I live, truly. So I can't say it's a business, but the challenges I've faced there is, it's now, doesn't come as much, but as we started the first 2 years, I received so much pushback from Nigerians and most especially men.
Bombastic, bombastic side eye for all the men in the house.
And my DMs, my emails, I got blackmails that were not even true. I'm going to, what they call, expose you. I'm going to, whatever, a man would, exactly, expose what? A man would say, one man said, oh, my wife does not listen to me anymore. I'm going to expose you. I know you are this and that. All not true, but it was a lot. And truth, I would say that at some point it kind of overwhelmed me because I'm like, I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. So what's all this serious pushback for? But then somebody, her name is Mrs. Agoro, told me, Ife, you are doing something right, is why there's a lot of pushback. So it's not about you doing something wrong. It's that you're doing something right, and this narrative that you're trying to change is not going to be well accepted as quickly as you think it should. So that was a lot for me at some point, but gradually it's as if people have just left me like, you know what, that girl is, she has a coconut head. So they're not, I don't have that much. A little bit comes, here and there, but no. The second challenge with Dang Lifestyle as a company is that Nigerians accepting us as legit. It feels to me like everything that comes out of Nigeria, Nigerians don't trust it. If it doesn't have a big international name, attached to it, many of them don't believe that it could work, and it could work as we say it's going to work. But thank God, gradually again, people are beginning to use word of mouth to sell what we've not been able to explain, that this thing works, please. So that's, we have a long way to go as Nigerians, of course, in trusting our brands and trusting the people behind the brands. But gradually, it's getting much better.
Okay, thank you so much. Fun fact. Who wants a fun fact? Anybody? Fun fact. Okay. Princess wants a fun fact. So, fun fact, somebody walked up to me on Thursday and she just said, oh, hi, I like your skin. What do you use? I'm like, oh, I use Dang. She's like, oh, really? Is that in Nigeria? Is it a foreign brand? Where can I get it? I'm like, it's Nigerian. She's like, I'm like, what's the problem? You just told me you like my skin. I just told you what I used and you're giving me that look. Don't give me that look. If I told you Arena, you say, oh, one of them. I've told you the truth. So, yeah. Thank you for giving us that.
Thank you.
Okay, so my next question is for Mr. Paul. Mr. Paul, people said I should ask you. How people. I got a lot of, DMs, SMS that just help us ask Mr. Paul this question. Yeah. Everybody wants to know, how did you do it? How did you go from Nokia to Google, and then one day you just said, okay, you know what, like that's like corporate, and then you went full-blown music. Two different, complete, opposite cultures. How were you able to blend in? How were you able to, fit in?
So first of all, I need to correct something. The music was always there, right? So the story, and that's why when Femi invited me, of course, apart from threatening me, because the way he asked me, I couldn't say no. And I must say that, if my mom hears that I'm in church on a Sunday speaking, she'll probably pass out, because it's the last place that I thought I would be. But yeah, so you have to go back to the reason why this appealed to me was the verse that Femi sent me about do not despise small beginnings. And I think that should be the mantra of an entrepreneur should be that verse. Like, that should be your verse, especially for serial entrepreneurs like myself. I've started so many businesses. Like, if I told you, I used to tell a joke that my friend and my partner and I, his name is Audume Kori, my partner, back in the day in CAC, we had so many companies registered in that CAC that when we come in, the woman will say, you again? Like, how many companies can one guy have? Like, don't you have any? And like, they're failing up and down. I'll register one, the next day I'll say, oh, there's a new idea. I once started a company that we used to buy old ties. We'll buy them from the port, and then we'll like second-hand ties from Europe. We'll bring them into Nigeria, then we'll wash them, and then iron them and put them in sort of plastic and sell them for 1K. We sold a lot of ties. It was like, made some money. That business failed. I've done, the tomato one, then the beans one. So the music was always there. CC started at the same. I was 19 when we started doing CC.
Wow.
Now the thing was, my partner and I, when we started growing older, the company couldn't sustain both of us. So, like, I went into corporate, right, to work, because I was also good at that. So, while I was in all those companies, Chocolate City was still there. So it was always there. It was finished from your normal job, do my 9 to 5, and then 10 minutes after 5, I'm at CC office and work until late. And this is like, for 15, 20 years. So, and I find it interesting. People always see the destination, not the journey, right? A lot of people see you today and they're like, Paul Chocolate City, and like, oh yeah, and they forget that there was a time when it's like when you buy a new car, people say, nice car, the guy has a nice car, but there was a time when you were walking everywhere, right? And people hardly sort of see that. So the verse, don't despise, one even says, who dares despise small beginnings. Is very important for every entrepreneur who wants to start something. You have to have that sort of mindset, right? That's, the end is not always going to be what the beginning was like,
So how about you, Ife? How did you move from the oil and gas babe to Ife that we know today?
What was oil and gas, babe?
Because, that was like the peak of the corporate career for you, I believe.
I believe so. I believe so.
so-
But that's because people place so much value on money. So people would expect that, this place is making you money, automatically you're happy and that you're living life to the fullest. But that's not how it was for me. My most unhappiest days were in oil and gas. I was super unhappy. I cannot even think back now and give you a happy moment when I was there. And then, so when people say, I can't believe you left, but you don't know what was happening at the time. So you see people in nice cars, traveling everywhere, carrying designer bags, and you think that's like their life is perfect and happy. I was so unhappy. And I couldn't, every time I think about it, I thank God every single day for Diary of a Nigeria Girl, because that was like my escape from there, from just the unhappiness of oil and gas to life and living life fully with impact and all of that. So moving from oil and gas was it wasn't a hard decision at all, because I can also say this because I don't want to sound like it was a perfect situation, but I moved after I had planned it for like 2 years. So I just didn't wake up one day and say, I'm tired, I'm going to move. I don't care if I'm making money or not. No, I do like money, let us be clear. It's just that it doesn't make you happy. So I made plans for 2 years to save, to invest, and just continue to do that and say, if I don't work for another 5 years, I want to be very okay. I don't want to be a struggling writer or a struggling, like they call it, a blogger, who would take anything because of poverty or because of lack. So I had to save a lot. I planned a lot. I worked hard. Like he can testify, I worked hard. I took all the contracts I could take because I needed to save, and because I knew I had to leave that environment. So leaving for me was not a hard decision at all. It was planned, and I'm very, very happy that I left.
I told you that, masterclass. So please, if you have questions, you can start to write your questions down and pass them to the ushers. We'll take questions very quickly soon. So I have another question. This time, my question is, a lot of people want to go into, businesses, and they say, oh yeah, entrepreneur is very easy. I just need to find a supplier and advertise the business. In your experience so far, what do you think is the most common misconception about, starting a business and, starting small and scaling up?
First, this myth of overnight success. it's not a thing. I don't know where. In fact, people will say, "Oh, some YouTube person just sprung up." No, the person didn't just spring up. Go back to their videos. You'll find that they've been doing videos for years, and just one video was reposted by someone, and then everything, like Gen Z will say, blew. Or is it Gen Zs that say that? Like, like it's blown and all of that. It's not the myth of overnight success. It's not there. There's nothing like that. Like, you can't. So, for example, people will say, "Dang Lifestyle just woke up one day and took over." It's not true. I mean, I think that people don't see how Dang Lifestyle came from Diary of a Niger Girl. After 5 years of Diary of a Niger Girl was when Dang Lifestyle was founded. So, but what happened was that there was a serious work done on creating and curating a community of upwardly mobile women who were a buying crowd, who were success driven. They don't have to have money, but they were into not the important things of life, not fashion, because we didn't discuss fashion, not celebrity gossip. We never discussed gossip. What we wanted was how we could grow financially, mentally, and in all ways that a woman should grow, right? So I spent 5 years creating that platform and bringing the people I wanted, not just anyone. So you find that when you come to the platform, it's not a mass thing. Not a lot of people can stay because we're not discussing the topics that you would like to hear, gossip, celebrities, all of those things. We're not discussing that. So it took 5 years to put all of those women together, mostly women, 78% women actually, and then say, what do they need? So I found out their needs, which was one, they were spending so much money on skincare and it wasn't working. And they would say, oh, it's, what's it called? It's La Mer, or it's like expensive Caucasian skincare. And then, so seeing all of that problem, I realized that we have to create something for melanin skin. So I took that up. And of course, in 1 year, Dang Lifestyle did so well that people said we came out of nowhere. It's not true. It's not true at all. So I know business models are different for everyone, but nothing is an overnight success.
So, Mr. Paul.
Okay, so I'm going to share a few things. And usually I like to do it in points. If you were to ask me the best advice. So, I mean, first thing I'm going to say is that you are probably going to fail. You are going, I mean, in fact, it's inevitable. You are going to fail. Like, the minute you realize that failure is inevitable, I think you're on your way to becoming a great entrepreneur, right? And the more people tell you, and this is why sometimes I have a problem with, let me just be controversial. Like, well, let me say it like this, right? Be a Christian, but don't be foolish, right? So you will fail. It's inevitable. I've failed so many times. I've failed at more things than I've been successful at. You know what I mean? If me and Femi, we're even presiding over a failing business right now. And, when we're in the board meeting, the one day, Femi told me something. He said, Paul, I've realized that you're actually very calm. You're actually very, I don't panic easily. Like you said, like, Paul, we just lost 20 million. No. I'll be like, okay, you know what? Next steps. And that's because, of course, I worked in environments where we saw failure every day, right? You launch a product, it fails, right? You launch the next one, right? You open a company, it fails. Like, Chocolate City today is very successful, but it's off the back of so many failures, right? There was one business that I failed so badly and lost so much money, and I was like, oh my God, I just lost a lot of money, and the plan was perfect, right? So the other lesson is sometimes you can do everything right and still fail, right? You have to realize, and that's where when I meet young people, especially Christian people, that happens to, they're like, oh, they're so shocked. I'm like, don't be shocked. It's life. Like, sometimes you do the whole plan. Excel sheet is, Excel, right? You do the whole thing. You add it. Everything is summed up perfectly, and you go out to the market and you still fail, right? And sometimes you have a series of unfortunate events that you cannot control, and then that makes you fail. And then sometimes you do 10 mistakes, and then something good happens, right? So, so you will fail, but the point is not the failure. The point is how you use that to sort of get up. And that's why I appreciate, you know, and when I said be a Christian but don't be foolish, the best thing that being in a church and environment can do for you, and I say this all the time, is give you optimism. Optimism is very important. When you come to church and you get this whole affirmation and you get, especially with people who preach about prosperity, you're going to make so much money, you're going to go, it's fantastic, by the way. I love the euphoria of that. But the best thing that can do for you is put you in an optimistic mind state, because someone who is optimistic is more able to manage that failure. That's the only thing. God giving you money rarely happens, and I'm sorry if I'm making anybody whatever. But actually, when you pray, and God is not going to come down and give you a word of money, right? Right? Exactly. I've never seen it happen, where the Holy Spirit came down and said, "Hey, Paul, here is 10 million naira." No. This is all this thing. But when you receive that optimism, it's now for you to go out and work, right? Make a plan, work, prepare to fail. When you do fail, get up, come back to the plan, right? If the plan doesn't work, change the plan, right? And just keep working, working that system. That is the main sort of story, if I was to advise anyone. Another thing is, and I think Femi, because when Femi was talking, when you were Pastor Flo, I love that name. You are in trouble because I'm going to go to the group and tell everybody that, Pastor Flo, I love it. When Pastor Flo was talking, he said something that I was telling Buzi, I was telling my wife that Femi is saying everything I want to say. Why did he invite me here? You see, the skills that it takes to start a business are not the skills that it takes to sustain one, right? Which is why, it's important to have the right partners or to understand the right ecosystem that you want to build. So there are some guys who I know who are perfect. Like my partner as well, Audu, right? You know Audu. Audu is great at vision. Audu can wake up in the morning and say, "Paul, let's start an airline." And he does it all the time. You call my phone, Paulo, listen, I've got it. We're billionaires. Let's start a nuclear factory, right? And I'll be like, "Bro, calm down, take a breath. What are you talking about?" And I'm the guy who usually figures out. I'm the Lego guy. Which pieces fit which pieces, right? So with Chocolate City, most people see Audu, because Audu, like me, I'm very happy being in the shadows, because that's where I do my most effective work, where no one can see me, where I can put things together and take them apart. So another lesson for you is that you always need, if you don't have a partner like that, you need to have an ecosystem. And when I say you need to have, everyone needs a few things, right? And sometimes those things can be the same person. It could be different people, but everyone needs a critic. It's very important. Get yourself a critic, someone who, I have someone in my life who I can never do anything good. Like, I can go and say, "Oh, God, I've made $1 billion." He'll be like, "But you didn't do it well, Paul. Go back." Right? I have that guy. He keeps me, if you like history, there's a story about in ancient Roman times when the guy goes to conquer, and they're bringing him back on a chariot, and he has the wreath on his head. There's someone whose job it is in his ear. It tells him, "Remember, you're only human." Right? They're telling him in his ear, don't lose your head. You are great, but you're not that great, right? So you need a critic, but you also need a champion. My older sister, my wife will tell you, I have an older sister. I cannot do anything wrong. Let me tell you, if you tell that woman that Paul was arrested in a bank stealing money, she'll say it's a lie. Paul can never do that, right? She's my ultimate, she believes in me. Totally, right? Very important. So, you have to find your critic, find your champion, right? Find somebody who helps you think. Find that among your ecosystem, so that you're always centered around these things. Because any of these things in excess is bad for you. If you are too optimistic, it's bad for you. If you are too pessimistic, it's also bad for you. So my lesson is always balance, right? Find the balance between everything, and because it's like a gyroscope, right? If you are balanced, you're more likely to move forward. But if you're tilted, then the car usually doesn't move forward very, very well. So I would say that's my philosophy. maybe. And it sort of works for me. At least I try.
The results are in.
I would like to say something at the back of what he said about failure. I feel like the reason people take failure so hard is because of your ego. Because you feel like I'm perfect, I can't do no wrong. And I don't know how, we many of us get to that stage where we feel as I'm doing this like this, it will work because I'm good, I'm the best. Yes, you are good, you're the best, but you're not perfect. So when failure comes, we take it so hard and then we stop. That's because we feel I'm too much for me to do something wrong. And the moment we do something wrong, it's like a reality check, and we stop doing whatever it is. So we need to check our ego and understand that we are humans. Humans are not perfect. And another thing is thinking life is also perfect. Because if you even do everything right, life will show you that I'm here to open your eyes. So I feel like those two things we must understand when it comes to failure. It's because the reason we take it so hard, we think we're perfect, we can do no wrong, and that life is perfect, it can come at us. When we see those things as, I'm not perfect, things can go wrong because I'm human, life can go wrong because it is life, I think we take failure in our stride and then move on to do better.
Sorry, I'd like to add something. Maybe I can share a story. That really. So if I think about my career, because I've worked for a long time, I'm trying to take a break now. If Femi will allow me, make money and retire. So I used to be in a company called British American Tobacco, and this is the most successful, one of the most successful companies in the world, right? And I was one of the top guys, and then I had huge salary and everything. And I was there for a few years, and I was head of something, big title, but I wasn't happy. Like, after a while, I was like, you know what? This is, because it's FMCG, and I'm like, FMCG for me is easy. Like, in my mind, though, my brain is too big for FMCG. I need to be somewhere that is a lot more difficult. And so I moved to Nokia at the time. Nokia at the time was also the biggest, company in the world. As an OEM, it was number one back in the day. Like, there will be no mobile phone world now without Nokia. So when I joined that company, and the guy who employed me is a white guy. His name was Marcel. Remember Marcel? One of my biggest mentors in life. French guy, lived in Africa for a long time, and he took me under his wing. And he told me, Paul, come and join Nokia. I think you'll be a star here. I said, no, let me go to, because I was thinking, let me move from BAT to somewhere, softer landing, maybe Coca-Cola or something. He said, no. Because I didn't know anything about OEM. Like, I'm literally selling goods in the market, and they wanted me to come and sell like devices. It's a big leap. Anyway, long story short, I joined this company. The first 3 months, I'm struggling. Like, I'm struggling really, really badly. I'll be in the meeting, there'll be Excel, they'll be talking about, like, it's all science, bro. Like, it's a lot of science stuff, like all the parts, and I was always struggling. And it's a very tough place to work, because those people, they expect results instantly. When you're an FMCG, it's like very fast moving. This is the FMCG. Like, they don't suffer fools gladly. It's very short. And then this phone you're making, in 6 months, there's a new one. So it's very fast. And if you don't show results soon, they start kicking you out. Now, I noticed that in the room, the guys who have been there years and years and years, they were always on my neck. I said, here's my idea. They'll say no. Here's my idea. They'll say no. Paul, you're not sharp. This guy, you're a retail guy. Go back to retail. After 3 months, I told myself, look, I'm going to quit. I'm too good for this place. It's too stressful for me. I'm going to go back and get a big job with Coca-Cola and just enjoy my life. And then Marcel said, let me tell you a story. He said, Paul, there was a scientist who was doing an experiment, and this experiment, he had all these monkeys. And the monkeys were on this side of the room, and there was water in between them. And everyone knows the monkeys are afraid of getting wet. They don't want to swim. And then there's food on the other side, but they won't swim to go and get the food. And they're all starving. So you have starving monkeys, right? Sorry, it's not very funny. That's very unfair to the monkeys. But one day, somebody brings in a new monkey and says, go into and join the other monkeys. Now, this new monkey is a bit of a funky monkey, right? That was a rhyme, in case you missed that. But he's not afraid of the water. He jumps in and goes to go and get the food. And then Marcel asked me, so what do you think? So what is the only problem this new monkey has? And I'm like, maybe the food wasn't enough. He said, no. Maybe, he said, Paul, his problem was the other monkeys. It wasn't, he could swim, he could get to the food, but now the other monkeys are saying, this new monkey, who do you think you are? Like, we've been here since suffering, not eating. Like, you can just come from nowhere and just go and get the food, and you think that it's going to work. So the other monkeys held him back because misery loves company, right? And they just wanted him to be like them, to sort of conform, right? I tell this story to any entrepreneur I see. I say it all the time because, like, and she was saying earlier about what she went through. When you want to start a business, right, you must always have that. You must always have that those lonely moments, right, where your vision must be clear. You must be clear who you are, what you're there for, right? You know what I'm saying? And
This is the music part
and then Marcel told me, Paul, I picked you. He told me, Paul, there are many guys who we could pick, yeah, right? We saw many people with different CVs. I picked you because you are a music guy, you're a retail guy, you are different, you are creative. The whole office is full of people who know tech and everything. I wanted you to come and do something new. So if you struggle for 8 months, keep struggling, keep failing, I'm here for you. And that's how I ended up becoming, at some point I was the biggest, you know, as far as Nokia is concerned, historically, no one ever sold as much as I did. Wow. You know?
Wow.
And it's sort of because of Marcel, you know?
Thank you. That was very interesting, funky monkey story. I'm definitely adding that to my Instagram bio. I'm officially a funky monkey. Okay, so I know that at some point you've had to maybe indirectly or directly employ staffs. Of course, you knew I was going to ask that question. You were expecting it, right? Staffing is every entrepreneur's nightmare.
Yes.
So please, give us pointers in your wealth of experience. What are the things that you have done that you did it so that the rest of us don't have to do it?
Listen, I've sacked so many people in my life. It's amazing. Like, funny, I was at MT and Momo the other day, last week, at a meeting, and someone said, and I noticed I was talking, one guy was looking at me funny. I'm like, maybe this guy knows me from a previous life, I don't know. When the meeting was over, he said, oh, do you remember me? I said, no. He said, you sacked me one time. And I was like, oh, and I was like, oh my God, there's a problem. But then I was like, how are you doing now? And they're like, I'm doing well. I'm saying, you see, so I did you a favor, right? So, you know, and I know, it's very tough. One, it's tough because it's hard to find people who buy into your vision. It's very difficult when someone comes to work for you for money. Because if somebody's coming to work for you for money, right, there's a word I like, you are not simpatico, right? And once you're not simpatico with someone, it's always about money. You will find that they don't care as much as you do. Now, sometimes it's not fair to expect them to. And as an employee, you must provide, you must do what you say you do. Like, like for my companies, I'm faithful with I don't play with that. I pay on the 22nd. If I pay everyone on time, even if if I need to deny myself, your health plan is there, so I do my own bit. So the first thing is to look for people who have the same vision. So if you go to Chocolate City today, most of the guys who work for us today would have been there for free. And I think that's why it works. So like, I like watching footballers or sort of basketballers, and I'm like, it's a very interesting life to do something, to get paid to do something that you would do for free. Like a lot of those boys that you see, they'll play football for free. You don't have to give them a dime, right? And then imagine when you give them $100,000 a week for it, right? They go crazy. So at Chocolate City, we look out, we're very patient. Now, and that's why people who are in our company stay for a long time. Like I have a girl called our executive vice president. when I hired her, when she moved to Nigeria, when I met her, I said, this girl is what we need. She said, I don't want to work for music. I want to work for whatever. I'm a bit of a cunning guy. I told my P at the time, find out what flight she's on going back to Lagos. And they found out, and I said, buy me a ticket on that flight. And they bought me a ticket. And when I got there, I told the guy, that girl, put me beside her. And then when I sat down beside her, and that's IB, right, today. I sat down beside IB, and I gave her the pitch of my life. I showed her the dream. I'm like, Chocolate City is going to be big. We are going to make you the most important, woman in Nigerian music. By the time that plane landed in Lagos, she was sold. And she's been with us 7 years, 8 years. And she's the most important woman in entertainment business today. And she's known, people know her more than me, right? So the thing is, find people who have the same vision as you. Those are the best employees. Does that help?
Well, yeah, but...
Does it help? No?
I'll say no.
It doesn't help?
No, it doesn't help for businesses like mine. It could help for entertainment industry because people are just passionate about this thing.
Sure,
right?
sure.
But when it comes to our type of business, retail and production, you find that people just want to make money.
I've been in retail for 20 years as well. Like, I've been in retail for a long time as well. And I find that it also applies. There are guys who are innate salesmen. There are guys who are salespeople by nature. And when I'm doing interviews, like, I don't even read CVs. Like, that's my HR person reads CVs. When I'm in the room, I'm reading the person. For any job I'm employing for, I don't know your CV. I may ask you which school did you go to, right? But I'm looking for cues that tells me that this person has some passion for this job. And even if the person is an analyst, like, I have guys who are quants, who all they do is they have a laptop and they're just doing, algorithms. Even that requires passion, right? And that passion may not be apparent, like, every day, but you find that somebody who is good at something usually shows that innate love for it. Even in retail, like, we've sold everything, right? I have sales guys who are, okay, this guy, if you send this guy to, like the Marcel story, right? Marcel saw it in me, even when I didn't see it in myself. So you always find that passion is the most important thing, in my opinion, yeah.
Okay. I say this because I'm not age shaming, but in your time, people worked for passion. People don't work for passion anymore. Yes, not a lot of, yes, I agree. I will tell you because I'm saying this because I worked for passion before I started, I grew and because my work spoke for me, of course, for like a lot of people. Now, I don't know what's going on, I promise you. In fact, what I've had to do is beg people like this, professionals to get into the interview with me. Maybe there's something I'm not saying. Because we find that when we employ older people, they stay longer, they work for passion. The younger people don't. I don't know why, and maybe you can give me some insight.
Look, I think you've actually just sort of mixed it up a bit. I think it's the other way around, right? So here's the thing. It's actually like this.
Yeah.
People today work for passion, right? It's the other way around. Your Gen Zs, and I'm not that old, by the way, but it's just that I look great. I have the advantage of working in the youngest, segments in whatever, right?
Yeah.
My average staff is 20 years old, right? And I still hire them, right? Today is more passion. A young person today works for passion. They want to believe in what they're doing. They are more socially conscious. They are more like, look at NSARS. It's more passion driven. When we, Gen X, right? When we came, right? Yes, passion, but we were always, like the way we were trained was more achievements, success, do well, right? There was a report card. These kids today don't really care about the report card. They care about how they feel, right? So if they feel good doing a job, they can take less money. You know what I'm saying? But it's not that they don't like money. But so I think you're right. But then the passion is more today than it was for us.
Why do you think in those days people stayed longer in their jobs? Right now, so you're right when you say they feel good, they stay. They don't feel good, they leave. Right? So that's one of the things I'm saying about even the passion thing also sells in that area because even you go by your feelings rather than your, sorry, we're having a full-on.
No, go ahead, please. We're enjoying this.
Actually, I like this conversation.
We are enjoying it.
We're having a full-on.
Trust me, that's
I
why
hope
we're
that's
here.
okay.
I love it.
Because I'm just saying this based on our experience. Older people have stayed longer at my place of work.
Yes, mine too.
We've had to bring in professionals like Pastor Flo here to say, please come and help me get an accountant. I don't know what's going on. Because maybe we are not looking at the right things, like you said. Relax, watch, read into what they're saying, not what's on their CV and all of those things. I totally understand that. I've just come to the place of understanding that I'm going to step back from that as a CEO because I see that there are so many people that I would like to employ, but I know that they are not really passionate about. They know what you're doing, but they don't have the passion. They just want the money.
But you know, the nature of the job also changed over the last 20, 30 years, right? But jobs back in our day was quite different. They were quite specific and they were in a box, right? So you had your accountant, your lawyer, your sales guy. It was very, very defined what those people do, right? And so the point is they were more specialists back in our day. Now, when you are a specialist, it has its advantages and it has its disadvantages. The advantage of being a specialist is that, yes, someone there needs you. Disadvantage is that apart from that thing, you can't do anything else. So you are also stuck, right? Now, today, jobs are a little more fluid, right? They're a little more fluid. So now you need graphic artists. You need there's a job, a makeup artist is a job now. Like, it's a full-time job. There's a guy who does work, like on Zoom. There's a guy. So the whole spectrum of jobs globally has sort of changed. So these people have the advantage that more of those jobs require more creativity. So if you're hiring a graphic designer, you need a very good creative one. And the only thing that feeds creativity is passion, right? So I mean, you find that the best artists are the ones who are more passionate. The best painters are the ones, you know what I'm saying? So
I agree with you.
It's sort of like a changing landscape.
So that's why in Diary of a Niger Girl, we have staff for 6 years, 5 years, right? That haven't left, that's still there, graphic artists. So you're right. But when it comes to, like I said, the structured area...
Because you still need, and that's the thing, you still need an accountant that is good.
Yes.
So you find that most companies... Pastor Flo.
Let me step in. Let me help you. Let me help you guys. So I understand what Paul is saying. So, I mean, my members know I'm an investment banker, right? So this is what I do. I understand Paul's perspective, and I totally get you. So let me help you with this. The work structures have changed over the last decade or 2 decades. But what has happened is that specific industries are not able to evolve into those work structures. And that's just our reality. So look, it's like if you run a restaurant business, for example, you're always going to struggle with your waiters. Whether you like it or not, if you pay them 300,000 naira, they will still behave exactly the way a waiter would behave. If you hired a chef is going to behave differently from the way a waiter will behave, again, because of the skill sets that are required. So you see, what we are finding, and we have this problem in investment banking, is even worse. You know, we are struggling to have people work for us because in those days, when you started out as an investment banker, you were a paper pusher for the first 3-4 years of your life.
Absolutely. Or copier. Making copies.
Paper pusher. You make photocopy, you go and buy lunch, and all of that, and then they give you one research paper to do. Nobody's going to read it. You're going to spend 6 weeks of your life preparing a presentation, and your guy is going to go look at it and refer to it twice in a meeting, and then that's it. But we were fine with that because we were learning and we were growing. Unfortunately, you then have a generation now who are like, are you okay? You mean I worked on that document for 6 weeks and he only looked at it twice? I have mental health issues.
Yes. That's it.
I have mental health issues. Straight up. My mental health can... Look, I have had someone resign because of the phone that was ringing. She says, the phone just rings all the time. I can't do this. And she resigned and she went home. But bro, in my generation, my father would have slapped me and
Bro,
said,
they would throw it out the
which
window.
phone?
Yeah.
Dude, will you go back? So I think what needs to happen is, as entrepreneurs and as business owners, we need to evolve with the workplace. And whether we like it or not, these kids have come to stay. Yeah. And in another 10 years, they're going to form the bulwark of our workforce, whether we like it or not. I'm 48. In another 5 years, I don't think I want to be doing this anymore. So I'm going to have to rely on that guy today that I cannot get to sit in a meeting for 30 minutes without doodling on their phone or something.
But you have to find a different way to get him that. So
yes.
And that's what I'm trying to explain, that like you need, so accountant today, so my accountant is older than everybody. Like, and I'm talking, so I have 2 or 3 things that I do. At Chocolate City, my accountant is older than the average staff because I still need an accountant that knows that can account, that will stay. I still need those habits of yesteryear because I'm 48 years old, right? So I have to also adjust to that as well. But then everybody else is young. Now, I recently got an accountant who is younger, right? He's 25 or whatever. You know why I hired him? Because he's an old soul. Even though he's younger, he behaves exactly like that old guy. Like, he's very fastidious and I'm like, you know what? This guy's young, but he's like this. Maybe he'll be a bridge between the two. Maybe he can. Because that old guy, when the artists, like, we have artists, right? They come and say, we want to go for award show, approve, 17 million. And the guy will be like, he say, Mr. Paul, Blackbone said that he wants 17 million. That because in his mind, he can't understand, why would I give this boy? This boy is 20-something years old. Why would I sign it? Why would I give him this money? Right? And I'm like, Mr. Abeg, and he's like, he's older than me, right? So I'm like, okay, just give him the money, But then now this new guy, he's not more able, because he understands that the way Blackbones thinks, the way money comes back, that money is probably a better investment than everything. Give the boy the money and don't tell him anything. Let him go and do what he's doing. So it's like, it's difficult though. Like, I need therapy.
Yeah, a lot of CEOs do need therapy at this time. Yeah. So I think it's just a human thing. We're just trying to figure that out. So every single day, we find a way.
Okay, so question time. My hands are full.
God.
And there are some very specific ones. I told you that my people came very prepared for you. I hope you guys are ready. So the first one is to you, Ife. Says, your impressive 13 years of experience in oil and gas industry, coupled with your entrepreneurial ventures, have sparked my curiosity and admiration. I would greatly appreciate hearing a brief overview of your career journey, including the age at which you started and the key motivators that have driven your success.
Yeah. I think that first, this goes back to what Pastor Flo said. I think the moment people found that I worked in oil and gas, it was so fascinating, and I don't know why, but everybody keeps saying, I want to work in oil and gas too. Don't tell me not to work in oil and gas. You worked in oil and gas, and so let me go and test what you tested. Let me be unhappy there, then I'll now leave. Because I don't want to hear you tell me, But yes, the truth is, just like Pastor Flo said, in those days, I worked as a paper pusher. I started that way. What people don't understand now is those days make you learn and build you to what you are today. So those times I started first in money marketing, what was that? Receptionist. I did start as a receptionist at an investment firm where we took some of Pastor Flo's money as well, and it didn't come back. And yes, I was I think I was 22, or 23. So I started there, and at that receptionist desk, I became the best employee twice at the receptionist desk because everybody came. I was able to calm them down. Because, I didn't know what was happening. People's money were just being taken. And so when people come and they say, please calm down, what is it? And they come and make noise. I'm there to calm them down. I make friends easily there. So there, I got the best employee twice. So one of the directors, seeing that the company was going to go down, came to me and said, a friend of mine has an oil and gas company. He's looking for a receptionist. And I told him, I have this fantastic girl. She's good at what she does. she can work for you. So I moved because they told me, look, this company is going down. You don't want to go down with it. Move to this place that you can find stability. So that time my salary was, I think, 50K or so. But then this is what I keep saying. I did not think about the salary. Based on what he said, the salary was not the first thing. The first thing in my mind was doing the job well. In fact, I would go online to see how to be a good receptionist because I just wanted to do my job well. It was just something in my head. And Pastor Bolaji of Harvesters says something all the time. There's an excellent spirit that we must all pray for. We take it for granted that when you are excellent in your job, as a cleaner, as a toilet, whatever it is, just be excellent at it. That's why I say these days, money trumps that, and that's what I've noticed. But then you find that excellence at the end of the day will trump that your need for money, because then it will take you places where money would never. So then I got into this oil and gas company as a receptionist. I never worked in oil and gas before. So I sat down at my receptionist desk one day, and the MD said, print this, go and make copies of this document for me. As I was making the document, the copier was slow. So I just, because I love to read. So I was just reading the thing. There was a lot of jargons. But then I started seeing some small errors. Some things didn't just make sense to me as just normal human being. So I made my own copy and underlined the errors that I found there. Grammatical error, just normal common sense errors. I was like, this doesn't make sense. So I did all of that. So during the meeting, when we were having the meeting, I was outside. And it was in me, like, I have to say something about these things because it felt like my boss was going to sign that document and it just didn't feel right. Like, did she not see these things or am I just overthinking it? Yeah. So, but then I just had to go into the meeting while they were, I was, 2 weeks into the company at the time. And I said, what is it? I'm busy. Can you not see? I was like, I just saw something. I just wanted to look at it. Okay, so she came out and I just showed her what I underlined. And she was like, oh, we didn't see that. Oh, okay. Thank you. And then she took the document in, they made the corrections, printed another one, and then she signed. I didn't get any listing for that one. No. Nobody told me. Thank you. And that's okay. So because I saw that she took my suggestions, I began to read more. I would ask more questions. And from there, I started seeing the things I like to do. I realized I like to negotiate a lot. I realized that I like to market. So I would just when they're in the meeting, I would ask, can I just join and take notes? Because I realized that you're also thinking in like 4 different ways. I want to help. So I start in the meeting and I started. So the areas that I liked, which is shipping, that's negotiation as well, and marketing, I honed in on that. I would ask questions. I would push. When she's going for bids, I would beg to go. Who will stay at the reception? I will ask one of the operations guys, please now, I'll buy you lunch, those things. So I started doing all of that. And in 6 months, I was just taken off the front desk because, look, I was just useless there. I just really wanted to do the work. And again, like I said, I just really wanted to do the work. It was when I got into operations that I saw how much money was in oil and gas. I didn't know there was a lot of money there. I just wanted to do the work. So knowing all of those things that I found in those 6 months, I pushed more into operations and then marketing and then supply chain. And gradually, I left that company, and I left still as the best staff because my gift before I left them was a brand new car in my name before I left that company. So I have always been a person who very, very much is interested in excellent work. And I think, I don't know who mentioned it between Mr. Paul or Pastor Flo about adjusting to the times. I don't know how I can adjust to lack of excellence. I don't know that. I really don't know how. But it's a lot. So like I said, I grew up like that and then went to another company, another oil and gas company, and then another and started my own. And like I said, in all of that, my lesson has always been just show up and be excellent. That's all that you need to do.
Thank you very much. You did great justice to that question. So the next question, still for you. Don't worry, I arranged them in, ladies first. This question goes to Ife. Do you think if you didn't work in oil and gas industry, Dang will be where it is today, or the money you gained helped help start up that?
Oh, yes, it did. That's what I was saying about never wanted to be a struggling writer. I did not want that. And I don't want us to think, that's why I said money is not a bad thing. It is not. You just have to make sure that you're planning. If I didn't work in oil and gas, I would have been that writer who accepted anything because I needed to eat, right? I mean, you can't blame people. I need to eat. So if you bring me something and say, talk bad about this person or say something, or just if I see something that doesn't concern me but will spoil somebody's image, or I'm too hungry to care, But I'm not saying that's who I am. I'm just saying that generally that's what's happening. And so for me, I haven't worked in oil and gas. I came in as a very pompous influencer, very, very pompous. I did not accept anything. If you like, say it's all the way like, oh, this girl, she doesn't, I really will not, because I really did not need the money. What I needed was these women who I've begun to see from maybe 500 followers who are interested in sharing their story without shame. I was more interested in them than the money, the whatever money I was being given at the time. So yes, and that's what I say again, don't wake up and leave your job because, oh, I have a passion, I want to be a writer. So for that reason, banking should go and sit down. If you really want to be a writer, start writing from being a banker and start saving so that when you genuinely, your heart is no longer there and you cannot give excellent work, you will leave with a good record and also leave with money in your account while you're struggling and trying to make ends meet. So it is very, very, very true. Me working in oil and gas helped Dang to be where it is today.
Okay, so this next question is very vague. I'll just read it out as it's written here. Is it necessary to work 9 to 5 to be a successful business owner? No.
Again, guys, I'm an investment banker, right? So let me talk like one. I'm also a pastor. I'm sure you guys know that. Okay. So this is it, right? You can't build anything on nothing. Okeugo, you can't. So you must understand that there's a reason why when you're doing economics 101, they tell you there are 4 factors of production, right? One of them is capital. So you need capital to start. And a lot of the time, the reason why Nigerian businesses don't thrive is because there's not sufficient capital. And then the entrepreneur is not disciplined enough to cut their coats according to their size during the growth phase. So the money is coming, you just want to chop it. It's almost that Yahoo boy mentality. Money comes, the first thing I want to do is blow it. And the truth is that even when we do hard work for the money, we kind of have the same mentality. The money is in the account, what's it doing here? Let me spend it. The truth is, to transition from a paid job to an entrepreneurial job has to be well thought through. The Holy Spirit is not going to tell you, leave your job today and go and start a business. It's not true. It's not the Holy Spirit that whispered to you.
Unless you are Paul, of course. And
even Paul said,
says,
on
even the
Paul,
road to Damascus.
But Paul had to go through a transition period. So there was work. He had to do work. 3 years, he had to go and study. Yeah. It doesn't happen. So it's what I've always said to us. I'm glad that there's nothing these experts have said to us that at least you guys haven't heard me say it one way or the other. Excellence is, it would always sell. No matter how useless the product is, excellence would always sell. Don't leave your job and say, Pastor, the Holy Spirit told me to leave. How much do you have for capital? No, I don't have any money, but the Lord will go with me. No, he's not going anywhere with you. You're on your own. Make sure you are ready. Make sure you're ready. Have your savings. I always say, before you leave for an entrepreneurial role, make sure you have 6 months of your salary saved. 6 months that if nothing happens in the first 6 months, I can take care of my bills, I can pay my rent, they won't kick me out of my house. And when you do that, what happened to Ife would then happen to you. Look, I know Ife's story from the first day she wrote her first tweet, and one of the things that I was so happy about was she never compromised on her values, on what she believed in, just because she had the resources that was able to keep her during that dry spell when there was nothing happening in the business. So don't jump the gun. And Paul's story is true. Chocolate City started 10 years before Paul left his paid employment to become a full-time staff in Chocolate City. You understand what I'm saying, guys? Paul is my partner in at least 2 or 3 businesses. But I'm still working there, I'm collecting my salary. Do you understand what I'm saying? The day would come when I would feel that, look, you know what, I have sufficient businesses to keep my lifestyle, and then I'll make that jump. But I will not make it because I'm making an emotional decision. Or I've seen people leave a job and they don't have another one. They say the Holy Spirit told me to leave the job. And I'm just like, please now apply some common sense. You only do that is because if you are a father that has children, you can't do that. You understand what I'm saying? Your children are going to go to school. Look, my point is, when we hear those lessons from people's lives, it's important that we apply it to ourselves so that we don't make the same mistakes. I said something earlier before I came down, that there are two ways that you can grow. You make mistakes yourself, or you learn from people's mistakes. But if you learn from people's mistakes, you short circuit your journey. End of story. Am I making sense to you guys?
So
Okay,
I
God bless you.
would love to add something to the question itself. So my answer is, can you read the question again?
Okay, so the question was,
Is it necessary?
an entrepreneur without doing a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
The question was, can you do you necessarily have to do a 9 to 5 to be? Yes.
Okay, yes. So here's my answer. My answer is yes. That's my answer. Like, whether you are in a paid employment or you are an entrepreneur, 9 to 5 is very important for both. Right? So, the thing is, people see 9 to 5 as it's about perception. 9 to 5 means office job with tie and everything. But 9 to 5 is just a description of time. There's actually a 9 a.m. in the morning and there's 5 p.m. at night, right? Look at it from that point of view. So 9 to 5 for both applies, because it's like losing weight, right? There are people who want to lose weight and think they can do it, by cutting corners. They'll work out for 3 months, enter the gym, then they'll stop and they'll gain weight. Then the people who actually lose weight lose it over time, because it's not linear, right? It's consistency. Right? Consistency, small steps over time, small lifts over time, your muscles start to build. It's the same thing. 9 to 5 is a decent amount of work time for a day, for a human being. That's why it's 9 to 5, right? It's from dusk till dawn, right? If you start a business and you're not willing to do 9 to 5, don't start the business, right? Just kukuma beg for money, right? There are people like us who do 9 to 5. When last did I do 9 to 5? Like, 9 to 5 for me is not even a thing. Most days I wake up at 6 a.m. I'm a bit of a lazy person, to be honest with you. I'm not lazy, but I sleep late, so I wake up late. By the time I leave my house to go to work, I'm working until, sometimes I'm working until midnight, right? So 9 to 5 for me is even like for, if you want to get on steroids, you have to put a lot more time into it, right? Put more time into it.
Okay, thank you. So now, to Mr. Paul, 2 in 1 question.
2 in 1 question.
Yes, sir.
A combo. Let's go.
In a startup, does one look for investors or partnership during the early stage of the business? That's the first question. And the second question says, the music award industry is losing its confidence in its audience. Is there any opportunity for competition?
Wow. First one, about investment. First of all, you need to figure out if it's money you actually need. Because a lot of times people think, oh, I need money, but that's not what you really need. I found that, sometimes what you may need is actually just a mentor or some, borrowing money is the last thing that you should do. And I'll tell you from experience, because now I'm owing so many people. But God will deliver me, and Femi is one of them. So this one now, we have to cancel a few things. First of all, figure out if you actually need investment. But it's a good way to raise capital. Like Femi said, capital is so important. Cash is king, right? And if you're going to survive, you need that cash to help you to settle down. So always start with family and friends. There's something that I have a friend called Adegbe, one of my closest friends. I call him the SME king, right? He opens SMEs like every day. That guy can open a barber shop in one airport like this, and he's telling me, Paul, I'm making 500,000 naira a month from this shop. Then I have, he has a small laundry. He has 4 pharmacies. He's very good at it, right? And he opens all these businesses and he's looking at the trickles coming in. And if you look at the total, he's making quite a bit of money, right? And then each one that he does, he doesn't like, so he'll come and tell me, Paul, I have a new business, but I don't want to go to the bank. Give me X amount, right? I will pay you the money back, but I will give you 10% on top. He has a smart way of raising money because he doesn't like to owe people, right? So find the best way to, and one thing that he always told me that if you cannot sell, so when you start your business, look at the business and take your cell phone. Everybody here has a cell phone, right? Look at your contacts, right? All your contacts. Some people have 1,000 contacts, 800 contacts, right? For me, if you can't sell that product to 70% of people on your phone, don't start that business. I beg you. Because if you, with your personal influence, cannot sell to people on your own contacts, it's not money you need, it's the Holy Spirit at this point. You don't need money, you need to find another business, right? So, I mean, that's my answer. The second one about losing credibility, I feel the same way, right? I feel the same way. I feel that sometimes with entertainment business, things get watered down, especially over the years. With more volume comes less quality, if you know what I mean, right? So back in the day, and Femi, by the way, is also a music guy as well, right? Femi has a background in music. So, huh? He has 2 albums. Let me sign you now. Let me sign you. So like back in the day, to make a song, to make a record was so hard. Like the studio was like this size. You had to have live musicians to play the thing, and these days it's a program on Logic Pro on a laptop, so everyone can do it. If I show you my DM, one of the reason why I'm afraid of questions, because sometimes when I speak somewhere, when I go out now, before I can reach my car, there are 20 demos. Please sign me, sign me, sign me, sign me, sign me. And I'm like, if it was that easy, like it's not, like everyone. So with access comes a lack of quality, right? In Nigeria, people are poor, so everyone sees our business as a way of getting out. So they just start doing all this music. I'm talented. You're not. You're not really talented, right? You are hungry, and and I get it, right? So this thing is expected over time. But having said that, right, and this is the lesson. Having said all that, cream will always do what? Cream will always rise to the top. So no matter how much quality has been, whatever, you always find that if you're really good at what you're doing, you will still come up and you will still win that award, right? I don't find any artists who win that award who don't deserve it like so much. If you look at the guys who are doing well now, they're super talented. I mean, if you look at people talk about David and people say, oh, his father was rich. That's true, but that's probably the hardest working artist I've ever met in my life. That kid sleeps in the studio, and Wiz is the same, Burner is the same, and all these guys, Emma, they're the same. These are really talented. These are guys who would be doing music even if they were not making money. You see the difference? These are guys who they are the real deal. Like everyone else, oh, if I do this song and they sign me, I'll probably make some money and I'll be rich. Those artists never last. You see that because everyone is actually good for one song, and the reason why they're good for one song is that, if you want to meet someone like me and you have been working for 1 year, this is your one song, you have been doing that one song over and over again, you have missed it. It sounds like a perfect song. Do you have 1,000 of those songs? You don't, right? And so you end up having a very short-lived career, which is why a Burna Boy can do 20 albums. Emma can do an album every year because it's there. You know what I'm saying? It's really, really there,
Okay, so about the last question. No, this is the last question. So just a personal question for me now. Yeah. What do you think about the music award industry in Nigeria? We're beginning to sound like a broken record.
But it's the same globally, right? What do you think about the Grammys? The Grammys is getting... I stopped watching the Grammys 5 years ago. I stopped watching the Oscars 7 years ago. It's not a uniquely Nigerian thing. It's a global thing. So we are the same as any, and people are the same. So if I would say anything, is that I don't like how they're organized from a technical point of view. We are still not the best with sound and with stage and with the how should I say, the aesthetics around the thing. But listen, it's a global thing. The award shows everywhere, but there is space. If you have a great award show that looks very nice, tell me. I would love to invest. Right?
Okay.
There's space. I mean, there's, for example, I've always felt that there's not enough. Nobody has done proper gospel awards, like real. And if you look at gospel artists on things like YouTube, they trend quite well. Nigeria is the market is half Christian, 50% Christian. Christians don't like to spend money on things, if not so. If Christians actually spend money on Christian music, the number one artist in Nigeria will be a gospel artist. Right? You guys know that, Abi? If Christians actually went to Apple Music and paid money for, I have an artist called Nosa. I signed, he's a gospel artist, right? He did I will always pray for you. Nosa is so talented, right? We struggled with streams because when Nosa goes to church to perform, they'll tell him, it's a church. We'll just give him one stipend, 100K. God bless you, brother. He'll take the money and go. Then the church won't pay, right? The people who are going to church won't pay. They won't download the music, right? So if you ask me anything today that I would love to see, I would love to see great gospel music awards, right? That rewards Christian artists. And if you have that, me and Pastor Flo will invest, Abi. Let's go.
Thank you. Okay, so Mr. Paul. I told you I was saving the best for last. What was the move and how did you guys sail up Chocolate City from being a group of creative minds to being superstar and then being the multi-million-dollar brand it is today?
Amen.
Amen.
More multi-millions. So when we started, like I said, we started it in Jos as it was a rave. Actually, to Chocolate City, it was a rave. My wife went to ABU, and I went to University of Jos. And they were always jealous of us because we were much cooler than they were. In fact, we used to go and make their school a bit fun. So we had this rave we used to call Chocolate City, and it was just a name. And we got the name from, there was a film back in the day. First of all, there was a band from Detroit called Chocolate City, right? It's a black band. And then there's a film that had a club. The film had Martin Lawrence in it, and the club was called Chocolate City. And then the Chocolate City, the idea behind our own was, black people. So we had this ultra black, we're like blackity black, like we love black people, black power. We're like, Chocolate City, because like everyone in our city is chocolate, it's dark. That's the real meaning of our company, right? It's a company for black excellence, right? So when we started the company, 2005, my partner's older brother, Yahaya, told Aldo, look, you guys are playing with this thing, resign from your job and focus on Chocolate City. And Aldo was like, no. And that's the truth. Yahaya is the one that pushed us to start doing what we did. And he said, look, Paul, you are very good with this corporate thing. Like, you're so good. Stay there, right? Because we need to... So, in our early days, all the systems, and people didn't figure out why we were ahead of everyone else. Because, everyone who was there is gone now. All the labels we started with are all gone, right? We're probably the oldest surviving label in Africa. We are 20 years next year, thank God. And it was because, like, people didn't figure that I was always in corporate, so I was bringing all the systems. Like, so very early, we had an HR structure. Very early, we had a procurement. We had all those things. And the other guys were just doing business. They were just doing it. So me, I had, like, rules. How do we, tell me, Paul, there's too many rules. I'd be like, no, we need these rules, right? We had approval systems. We had all these things, right, going. So we were lucky that we had that balance of two worlds. Our first check, the first money we made was 70K. That was paid by the French consular. Said, I like you guys, come and do a show, right? and we got 70K. And I'm like, how do I've hammered? God, like this is the end, right? Look, in fact, me and I would say, let's go and buy baths because now we have to look good, right? So we took a car to Lagos. We came to Lagos and went to Babalogo Market. Not Jan though. We went to the market here. It's my so and we bought like shirts and trousers and went back and were like bad guys. So that was how our first profit went, right, into clothes, right? So, and then shortly after, we met an artist. Adu come and said, there's an artist called Jeremiah Gang, who is a gospel artist. And then I was at BAT, but I was quite busy. I said, look, bro, if you like this guy, let's go, And at the same time, there was a guy called, Mygreb. That was MI's former name, Mygreb. And I had met him in Jos, and he was in my alma mater. And then I was looking for somebody to help me around. I had one small event, so MI was helping me. Then he wasn't MI then; he was just Jude, by the way. So when Jeremiah came out, right, we struggled because we were Jos boys, Abuja guys. Lagos was the center. When we came here, we couldn't get on radio. They said gospel, Hausa. Like these guys, they whine me. Like we couldn't get on radio. I remember that one time, I won't call the names, but one time, one of these people, they kept me waiting. You remember the story? I came with Jeremiah's CD. They kept me in their waiting room for like 12 hours. I waited, and then when the guy came out, he said, "Oh, sorry, you were having me." He spoke to me for 2 minutes, and then he left, and didn't even take the CD. And me, I'm a very, me, I know they like that kind of thing. So I said, this guy, right? And the funny thing is that a few years later, like I was in my office and the guy came to see me, and he came, he was very humble. And I said, look, this life is like a fan, you have to be careful. Anyway, so when Jeremiah Gang took off, because again, gospel music, you see, and it was planned. We knew that gospel in Nigeria was big. We knew hip hop was big. When Jeremiah went, MI went, and then luckily MI had this crew. Then Ice Prince came, then Jesse Jaggs came, then Brymo came, right? And then we had Kimani, and then at the same time we were working, and people didn't know that we had a law firm. We have a law firm that also does entertainment law, and most of the artists you see today didn't have lawyers. So we were at the same time we were representing Two-Face, for example, or Mode 9, or even Yemi. There are people who come to us for legal services, not just music. So we do a lot more than just music. And then we have the agency as well. So we have an agency that does, we have clients like Pernod Ricard, MBL. So we have a youth agency that does that, which is also very successful as well. We have a distribution company that does music publishing as well. So Chocolate City Music is, and that's why it's called a group, because people just see the music. We do a lot more stuff under. And we were working for like 10, 15 years before, and I always told Aldu that one day somebody's going to come and offer to buy us. So just be calm, be patient, right? And then one day the Warner Music Group came and said, you guys are, we checked the market and you guys are the best we've seen in the market. And that's how we signed the deal with Warner. And now we are a Warner Music sort of company, which changes the entire story of our company entirely. Because now we're not local number one. I mean, and then we had CK who came in, and when CK came, one day I woke up and we had the biggest song in the world. Like it was the number one Shazam song in the world, the most streamed song on Apple Music, it was the biggest song in the world, and we're like, we're really, really here. So it's been quite a journey. I'm very grateful for the journey. It's been hard, and we've had to deny ourselves a lot of things, especially, and I think one thing that I must say is that I'm so grateful from where I came from, where we came from, coming from Jos and Audu from Kaduna. We have a different upbringing, so we're not very flashy, right? We're not like the way we were trained. Like, I have a tattoo now. My mom will faint if she sees it. She's never even seen it. So we were raised like in a very strict way. I went to all missionary schools, so like being flashy and buying big cars and whatever was never something that I was raised with. So we were able to spend less on lifestyle, right? We've never been, as a company, my partner or myself, even our artists, we've never been, go and blow money in the club, or we're very understated. Even today on social media, it's important for me because my family is more important. So like, I don't start posting all this stuff and everything. And like, I always tell my friend that when we go back, we're going to know who get money. It's not who's on Instagram, right? You know. So
New updates.
it's fact. So like, and that's what it's my dad that told me that. My dad told me is the day you go to bank, that's when you know who has money. So for any entrepreneur out there, our story it could be your story. It's not a special story. It's not something like yes, we are grateful, but this is something that, and I haven't met so many Nigerians. Nigerians are the best people in the world. Like every day in Nigeria, I'm amazed by. I've met somebody. This person is brilliant. Like, you know how brilliant Nigerians are. Like, it's just we need to get people who are a little more consistent, right? Who are more patient with work. Excellence, like you said, is the only thing. Excellence is the only thing that brings money. Even if you are a thief, if you're an excellent thief, you make money. Right? This is facts. And then don't worry about the rest of it. Don't make social media your North Star, or don't make validation your main purpose. Don't make, me, my wife will tell you, people think different things about me. I don't give it 1 second. Like, I don't spend 1 minute worrying about what somebody thinks about me. There are only 5 people in my life who I care what they think about me. One of them is here, my kids, right? Everybody else is a secondary player in my story. And because of that, I'm able to, just be myself, I hope that helps somebody.
Okay, so this question is a bit, no, actually, for both of you. It's a bit, I don't know. Let me just read it. So the question says, what about people who do not have a direction in life, no career path, no passion, not sure where they see themselves in future? Like,
they should come and see me after service. They should come and see me after service. It requires both a spiritual and emotional answer. But let me say this. Let me answer. Let me say this, and I'll let the guys talk. Listen, this is just one house. This is what I would say to that person or to those people. There is nobody that God created that doesn't have a skill and doesn't have a passion. It's not possible. Look, even the guy who you consider as intellectually challenged has a skill. Let me tell you guys this very interesting story. So I have a passion for. I'll be careful how this comes out, but the smartest kid that I know is my nephew, right? And my nephew is on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum. But if you sit here in 10 seconds, literally, he's going to draw a picture of you that is exactly who you are, and he'll probably put features on it that you didn't even remember were there. So when you look at what people would call an extreme, right? The reality is that kid has a skill that can become anything in the world, right? I still think that the best artists in the world, either be it music or arts of drawing and all of that, are not people that are normal in our definition of what normal means. The guy, Van Gogh, he could never have been a normal guy, right? Seriously, it's not possible. So let's understand that what you need to find is where you can create value. I always say this to people, that people pay for value. End of story. It doesn't matter what it is. It might be all you know how to do is sweep the floor. No matter how you don't have vision, you don't have passion, you can sweep floor. Just be bloody good at it. Be so good that when someone comes in and says, who is the person that swept this floor? And you realize that Ife's passion is not to be a receptionist. Do you understand what I'm saying? But she was discovered by just sitting in a reception. Look, the truth is that the receptionist is usually the most unremarkable space in an office. But someone took that job and made the best of it. So look, my response to that person is, there is something in there. We can find it for you. See me after service, you understand? I'll pay you. You'll pay me because it's now investment banking work, not necessarily pastoral work. But there's always something there. And sometimes it's about finding someone who can help you discover it, hone that skill, and develop it. Huh? God bless you.
I would just also say we are too hard on ourselves. In the process of trying to find what we are able to do, we are making it so mechanical that then we just fail at it and then we blame ourselves for that. When I was done with oil and gas, like truly done, and I was looking for the next business to do or the next whatever, I told myself to just breathe. I understand that not a lot of people are in my position, so please don't think I'm taking that for granted. But the truth is, it was just ease. You need to find ease in finding your purpose, because if everything is, I must find the purpose today, I must find the purpose today, there's a likelihood that you will not find it, and you just keep going this way, this way, this way, until then you find that, oh, I'm at whatever age, and I've still not done anything with my life. So I think we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves when it comes to these things. Just breathe and begin to notice by yourself what makes you truly exceptional. In this thing, I'm good. I'm not saying what the world says is good, though, because, nowadays we realize that the things that are mass or generally termed as amazing, it's really, really not. It's just a lot of PR, yes. So what to you, do you think that what you're doing is good? You need to just breathe and find out, oh, this thing I'm doing actually makes sense, or I'm getting some compliments, or I feel good about it, or in comparison to some other people, this is, excellent. So just breathe and with ease begin to notice by yourself and hear what people are saying, what you're good at, and gradually make that thing more and more excellent as you go.
So, thank you. So sorry, I know we don't have much time, but this is very. I'm touched by this question, so I'll tackle it. First thing that I'll say, there's two ways purpose happens to somebody. It's either purpose is innate, and people talk about destiny and whatever, right? And yeah. Sometimes it's innate, sometimes you happen upon it, right? These are the only two ways. Now, and in life you find that these things, and no one says you must have one purpose, right? So when people tell you about purpose, it's like this one ecclesiastic, this one, there's a word for it. You know how that guy said, eureka. This one thing that happened to you that is an epiphany and your whole life changes. No. You will go through, you will live a life. And in that life, you will pick up one purpose and drop it, and pick up another one and drop it. It's not linear at all, right? So I would say, no one stays the same person. Human beings are so dynamic. Time is so dynamic. The world is so dynamic. Like, when I was younger, my biggest dream was to have one car in my life. The day I got that car, I said, you know what? Thank you for the car, but now I'd like a wife. And then when I got a wife, I'm like, thank you for the wife, but now I'd like kids. And then when you get kids, oh, thank you for kids, but now I'd like a big house. So, like, in life, I'm not the same person that I was 20 years ago, right? My purpose has changed. Today, I have kids who I need to pay through college. I have a 16-year-old daughter who's going to college very soon. And we ask her, what do you want to be? And she's like, I don't know. And her mom and I were like, you must know. No, she mustn't. Like, she mustn't really, because she may be one of those people who happen upon her purpose, right? We have a son who is on the spectrum, as Femi was talking about. My son is autistic, but it's not a bad thing. When my son was diagnosed, we were like, oh God, the world is over. But today, my son is one of the most successful artists in Nigeria, right? He does exhibitions, he sells 40 paintings, and like, he has more money than me and his madam. Like, there's one day I was somewhere and somebody bought a painting for 2 million naira, paid cash. This boy is 14 years old. Like, there are artists who are 50 not making that kind of money from their art, right? So for whoever asked that question, understand one thing, right? You cannot define yourself today, depending on how old you are. It's not about the now, it's about tomorrow, right? Your purpose you may happen upon it, it may come upon you. But last thing I'll say, do not confuse, the need for a purpose with, I've lost the word now, necessity, right? Today, there are things you have to do today, right? To be alive for that purpose to happen to you. Don't die on the way. Don't die. So if right now you are struggling with purpose, pack it first. Look for money to eat, pay your rent, keep the lights on, go to work, keep yourself alive for that wonderful purpose that is coming to meet you later. Don't start despairing now and say, oh, I don't have purpose, or move.
Thank you so much. I think justice to that question. So, to the final question. Final question, really. How do you differentiate someone who works for just the money and the person who has passion for the job? And please, sir and ma, do you still have vacancies? We have CVs.
Okay, so the first question was
Differentiating between someone who works for money and somebody who has the passion.
My interviews are very important, right? Anyone who I've interviewed will tell you, right? Most people who are interviewed and don't get the job, they know why they didn't get the job. I'm very open, I'm very transparent with people. I know what I'm looking for. I'm not one of those guys who doesn't understand the role. One thing that I've taught people who have worked for me is that, look, when I joined the company, and by the way, I also manage a marketing firm as well. There's no job in my office that I cannot do. I make sure of that. And I know you know what I mean. Every job in my company I can do. Not only can I do, I've done before, right? I once went on a course and I did a finance for non-finance managers. I went to Gibbs. I paid a lot of money to Gibbs to do that course, just so that I would know how to be a finance guy. In case one day my father said, I'm not doing it again. I can step into that job for 3 months until I find somebody. So I can do every job on the line. And because of that, nobody gets employed without seeing me first. And it's not a power thing, right? It's a skill thing. So everybody in seniors that Paul has to interview. Paul has the final interview, right? That's very important. I look at the person, I know what I want. And I'm rarely wrong. I've been lucky. I've been wrong sometimes, but if I'm wrong, I also fire very quickly. No, it's because it's unfair to me and unfair to the person, right? I don't waste time with that kind of thing. If after a month I'm telling you, look, you know what, I'm sorry, it didn't work out, I let you go very, very quickly. So you can find your purpose, right? Your real purpose. So that's the first one. Second one is, what was the second one? Always, I'm always looking for good people, but I won't hire you just because you are in Femi's church, right? So, if you have a good CV, please send it through. I'll be happy to take a look. But I think with CVs, people like to cast a wide net. Just say so. It's not my job to find a place to put you. You need to, who said it? Add value, right? Tell me what you want to do, and then I'm available. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. So, do you have vacancies?
It's true that we always have vacancies, but of course, you have to fit into something that we really, really want. We ask for customer service. Please drop your CV. We'll find logistics in the... Why? Wrong. I didn't ask for that. So, but truly, in spaces like this where you just want to, you've heard two people speak, you find out, these are the things I can do for them. And when we see this kind of CVs, okay, this person can add value. So definitely always vacancies, but make sure that it's something that you can give to the company, not what you want to get from them.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, everyone. Can we give this wonderful panel a... Let's do that again, Thank you very much, Ife. God bless you. God bless you. Paulo, thank you so much, bro. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Yeah. You guys should actually know each other. The fact that you don't even know each other is a problem in my life right now. So please exchange numbers. God bless you. Can we do that? Oh, yeah. Please join us. Okay. Are we doing it? Okay. Sorry. Oh, okay.